So about a year ago, the plight of white South Africans, and especially the farmers, reached an awareness peak, for lack of a better term. Stories were finally being published in the mainstream media, and commentators were discussing it. Politicians were making statements and promising action. It even got to a point where Donald Trump himself had tweeted about it. Closer to home, thousands attended rallies across our great land. The ALA collected more than 50,000 signatures of Aussies calling for a special intake of persecuted South African farmers that I personally, with Debbie Robinson, delivered to the office of the then Minister of Foreign Affairs, Julie Bishop. Peter Dutton, if you remember, the immigration minister at the time, seemed sympathetic and willing to finally do something. But now we hear nothing. So, does that mean the problem has been solved? Hell no. However you choose to study the statistics, one thing is crystal clear. Things are getting worse in South Africa. These days, most of the horrific stories aren't even reported on. I only happen to know about them because of the work I have previously done to raise awareness on what's really happening on the ground in South Africa. But one story did finally make news this week. The Daily Mail reports a white couple were gunned down in a racist attack at the side of the road after their car ran out of fuel in South Africa. Jahanko Fleischman, 19, and girlfriend Jessica Kun, 23, were executed in cold blood as they waited on the motorway bridge for a family friend to bring them a can of diesel to get them going. The two employees sitting in the back of the car with the couple were brutally beaten by the killers, but spared death, and have described the horrific double murder to police in detail. It's understood the attackers walked past the car and murmured a racial insult at Fleischman before opening fire. The two witnesses told police that the Toyota Hilux had run out of diesel about 20 miles east of Johannesburg, and butcher Jahanko had called a friend for help. As they waited for rescue, they said 3 men walked past the car and then walked back, hissing a word that I just can't pronounce it. Here it is, Jahanko. A derogatory phrase for a white man, pretty much the N-word for white people in South Africa. One of the men then pulled a revolver without warning and fired at least 9 shots, hitting Jahanko several times in the body. As he slumped into the road, the gunman leaned into the cab and killed Jessica with a single shot to the head before what? Stealing her mobile phone. Then they set the car on fire. Now this wasn't a robbery, this was a killing, a racist attack, a killing of white people simply for being white. Jessica was slumped dead in the passenger seat, Jahanko on the road, and the 2 badly beaten workers ran for their lives. Now, while I'm grateful that this story got some airtime, I'm saddened because by tomorrow it'll be forgotten. And every single other attack this week will continue to be ignored. The reality is, unless we all continue to discuss what's happening in South Africa, nothing will change. The media, politicians, and so-called human rights activists don't want to hear about it. And for one simple reason, because the victims are white. Can I ask you a quick question? Sure. So you're obviously advocating that we have more refugees. Do you feel the same about the white South African refugees? Should we be inviting them here as well?
No.
South African farmers, you know, the ones that are getting raped, robbed, murdered.
No, that's ridiculous.
Are you denying what's happening in South Africa?
Yes, I'm denying it.
Why not? We want to bring in the refugees from South Africa. Are you happy?
I would prefer if the Rohingya came here first.
Why is that? Is that because they're brown? Will you support our petition to bring down the white South Africans? Why is that funny? Will you sign a petition for the white South African farmers?
Drop dead, you're a fascist! Drop dead, you're a fascist!
So let's not let this conversation die with its victims. Please share their stories far and wide.